The thing is, he's not really wrong.
Some Iranians that did not understand why their parents and grandparents were anti-American. Those Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is an imperialist, vicious government, and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. They understand they're fighting the Epstein Class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls.
You see, this professor was making a point about the fact that younger Iranian people have a different understanding of America than their parents or grandparents. Because this conflict between the US and Iran all started in 1953 when Iran had a democratically elected prime minister named Mohammad Mossadegh. He did something that was common sense, but of course was radical to the colonizers. He nationalized Iran's oil so Iranians could profit from their own resources instead of it getting continued to be exploited by Great Britain. Great Britain had controlled Iran's oil for decades through the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, what later became known as BP Oil. When Mossadegh cut the British off, Britain immediately ran to the US for help. In 1953, the CIA then went undercover, organized and financed Operation Ajax, which was specifically to overthrow Mossadegh. CIA agents posed as communists and threatened religious leaders, and the US ambassador also lied to the Iranian prime minister about alleged attacks on American nationals. Because of the CIA-supported street protests, some 300 Iranian civilians died in the streets of Tehran. The Shah quickly returned to take power, and as thanks for American help, signed over 40% of Iran's oil field to US companies. That same US-backed Shah then ruled as a dictator for the next 25 years, and he also created what was called the Savak, which was his secret police, which killed and imprisoned political protesters around Iran. The crazy part about it is that the US also trained that secret police. The US also armed the Shah by pouring billions of dollars in weapons, and Iranians lived under the US-backed Shah dictatorship for over 26 years between 1953 and 1979. When the Iranian people finally had enough, revolution erupted, and chants of death to America and death to England drew directly on the memory of 1953. This is the part that American media always skips and intentionally rewrites. The revolution wasn't random religious fanaticism. The Iranian Revolution was the inevitable consequence of 26 years of US-backed dictatorship rule. Memories of the US intervention in 1953 intensified the anti-American character of the revolution in the minds of many Iranians. And after the revolution, their new supreme leader came to power, and the US immediately lost its grip on Iranian oil. But by that time in 1980, Iran was weak. The revolution had dismantled the military, and the Iran-Iraq war was just now beginning with the Iraq invasion of Iran in September 22nd, 1980. The United States didn't give a fuck about Iran, but provided them with billions of dollars in economic aid, dual-use technology, intelligence sharing, and special operations training. The goal was only to regain access to Iran's oil by supporting Iraq, who we didn't give a fuck about either. America just jumped on the bandwagon to capitalize on an already weak Iran that was now entering another war. To make matters worse, on July 3rd, 1988, an Iranian civilian passenger plane from Tehran to Dubai was shot down by the US. All 290 Iranian civilians on board were killed, and the US never formally apologized, and as a matter of fact, the officer in command was later even given a fucking medal. The pattern is clear. In 1953, the US overthrows Iran's democracy for oil. For 26 years after that, the US then funds Iran's dictator and his secret police who represses the Iranian people. In 1979, the Iranian people finally have enough, revolt to take their country back, which the US doesn't like. In 1980 to 1988, the US then funds Iran's enemy to overthrow Iran again. In 1988, we shoot down their civilian plane, never apologize, and actually award the general who did it with a fucking medal. And in 2020, Trump orders a drone strike, assassinates Iran's most celebrated military general Soleimani, which the UN rules as unlawful, and then when Iran retaliates, they were immediately called terrorists. Fast forward to 2026, when Trump assassinates their literal supreme leader, high-ranking military officials, and hundreds of their civilians, and yet they're still the bad guys? Mind you, Trump told ABC News that the US had already picked who would replace Iran's government, but they died in the strikes too, saying, quote, "The attack was so successful it knocked out most of the candidates. They're all dead." None of this is self-defense, and all of this was regime change. It's the same shit that they did in 1953, just with bigger bombs. And of course, American media plays Iranian people in the streets, chanting death to America on loop to propagandize and justify America for attacking Iran more. That's what the fuck is happening.